Welcome to today's Jeopardy Show. Today's special theme is Law and Society in the United States. Contestant 1, would you like to pick a category?
Sure thing. I'll take Law and Society for 300.
What kind of question is this? Of course everyone is treated equally under the law.
No, that's actually not true. You see, there's something called the criminalization of poverty that exists.
What are you talking about? What does the criminalization of poverty mean?
Well, despite the premise that we're all created equal under the law, the truth is that money matters in the United States, and poor people are much more likely to go to prison. When you lack money, it can lead to a difficult time to get adequate legal representation, even though counsel is a guaranteed constitutional right. Now, because public defenders are lacking in numbers, the promise of Gideon versus Wainwright hasn't necessarily been fulfilled. Defenders are undercompensated and overworked, and they can't give adequate time to a case to conduct a proper defense. About 90 to 95% of cases end up with people giving up their Sixth Amendment right to a jury and settling with a plea bargain. These numbers are so high that even innocent people can get caught up in this process because public defenders just can't offer their time to conduct a proper defense.
Public defender Adam Heyman handles an average of 150 clients at any given time.
I've had 30 indicted felonies and 120 misdemeanors. I mean, can you imagine how many people that is?
Yeah.
You know, and you do the best you can.
On a typical morning, you'll find him in his Brooklyn office catching up on paperwork and preparing for the day ahead.
What are the consequences of pleading guilty?
Well, there are numerous consequences of pleading guilty that include paying a fine, paying the probation officer, paying for treatments, paying for court fees, losing the right to vote, inability to find employment, or being barred from public housing.
In 2010, he was arrested in Florida for driving with a revoked license, which was a felony charge because he'd had multiple driving violations before. Larry was sent to jail, where he applied for a public defender, which in Florida, incredibly, requires a $50 application fee. He couldn't afford to pay that or his bail, so he was stuck in jail for 59 days, at which point he gave up and pled no contest to get out and was released on time served. But in Florida, if you use a public defender and are found guilty, even by plea, you then owe attorney's fees and costs regardless of your ability to pay. So Larry now owed not just the $50 public defender application fee, but also an extra $100 fee for having used the public defender, and even another fee of $100 to pay the prosecution's costs, which is like a bully taking your lunch money and then charging you an additional lunch money reallocation fee.
Yes, but it actually disproportionately affects minorities. The reality is due to the fact that certain laws, though they aren't racist in wording, tend to be more associated with certain races and can make minorities more susceptible and sometimes targeted. In cases of racial profiling, instances of stop and frisk policies.
Look at Irma Faye Stewart. She was arrested in a drug sweep but claimed she was innocent. She faced a 10-year sentence and was stuck in jail because she couldn't afford bail. She said her court-appointed lawyer urged her to take a plea deal, and she reluctantly agreed.
I asked him, what's his name, I can plead for 5-year probation, just let me go home to my kids.
Wow, this really does sound like a big issue. What can be done about it?
It is a huge issue, but because the people most affected are the ones with the least voice, it's up to many of us to help aid in reforming the system. There are many possible solutions. We can push for funding public defenders, work on trying to lessen the penalties for nonviolent drug offenses, and decriminalizing other smaller offenses that don't cause much harm. Also, there are many alternative options out there that we can try to make known. These include the use of drug courts, which can be a lot more favorable and helpful to defendants, or the incorporation of more restorative justice techniques, which have seen a lot of success in New Zealand.
You can always look into joining or donating into local or national organizations and movements that seek to address some of these issues as well, such as the American Civil Liberties Movement or the DC Peace Alliance.
Well, it seems as though we've run out of time for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you've learned a lot. Join us next week, and we will continue to think about the criminalization of poverty.